Well, that's it, folks. The final episode of the CT Chronicles Supplier Edition. We've been given updates from all of our trusted suppliers. I'm talking airlines, hotel, car hire, and even travel insurance. And today we're joined by one of our low-cost carriers. I'm so honored to be speaking to Kirby Gordon, CMO at FlySafair. Kirby, thank you so much for making the time to chat to me.
Oh, thanks for having me and thanks for the opportunity.
Awesome, Kirby, lots of questions. And the first one I'm gonna jump into is immediately price. Why is it so expensive to fly locally now?
Right, so I mean, the reality is in our market, we always talk about ourselves as being price takers. And in the South African market for a little while now, we've gone through this period where we have had some constraint on supply. And where we're at now is that the market has returned to about 75 to 80% of the capacity that we had pre-COVID. And it seems now, for the first time, that we're starting to hit that sort of sweet spot where the supply and the demand are actually meeting each other.
Yeah, and do you still feel it's a decently competitive environment with some of the suppliers not being there anymore?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the one thing that's actually quite interesting to think about is there are as many airline companies contesting the market today in South Africa as there were pre-COVID. But if we bear in mind that before COVID, there were a couple of players that had multiple brands in the market, whereas now everyone's just got one. So if you count them out, there are about 5 of us, and there were 5 before COVID as well.
What's the value element that you think is still at play? I mean, specifically, at least from a Safair perspective.
I think the one thing that is important to just bear line of sight of, what does that chain look like between the ultimate end customer, yourself, and the airline?
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, that's where we can really build this value. At the margins that are sustainable for us, you need to do the same. The customer needs some good value. Let's make sure that everyone's playing fair, and I think that's where we can really deliver value.
And that's fair. What's your advice to a business traveler in terms of what time I need to get there before my flight?
So we always have to tell people to be there at least 90 minutes before their flight departs. And realistically, actually, that's not a bad idea, especially if you're traveling in those peak periods. Make your life easier, you know, go and enjoy a moment in the lounge and have a drink before you hit the air.
I'm more interested around pilots. Do we have a shortage in our region, or are we seeing a lot more of these younger guys come through?
So we've been okay for the time being. I think we're starting to feel a little bit of a constraint now in the market. But as the global market has started to recover, there is more and more focus on South African pilots because we have great pilots. In terms of that skill and that kind of capacity shortage, the one thing that's quite interesting is if you look at the mix of flights that are operating out of the domestic terminals in South Africa at the moment, we're not quite back to those passenger numbers, but certainly in airports like Tambo, we're starting to hit the same number of rotations.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting place where that's coming into play. But for the most part, I think we're actually managing to get back to where we need to be in terms of those staff on the ground.
Okay, I can tell you where else you're going to feel constraints, and that's on the Foosball table.
Not a chance.
I'm going to take you across to the other side of the corporate traveler building so we can play some Foosball. Are you up for it?
Sweet, let's go.
Awesome, let's get it. Kirby told you we've been a tough outing for you.
I didn't see that coming, but I concede defeat like a gentleman.
But awesome. Let's get back into our conversation. And I have to jump into this question because I always wait for those 9 Rand flights. I never get one of those flights. I feel like there's something against me there.
Look, it is actually like winning the lottery. I mean, I always do the math on the basis of this. I mean, I think it was 50,000 seats, right, that were made available. Something like 3 million people on the site. 56 million South Africans. When you start doing the math on the end of it, it is a total luck of the draw. Yeah. So that does come down to it. It touches every element of our kind of sales channel. It strains our website. It strains our marketing guys. We take this one opportunity to run the hardest marathon we possibly can.
Yeah. How do we see the market maturing, evolving? Will there still be play for Safair?
I mean, look, I think that is it. As I said, we're sort of seeing the demand side of the market, particularly on the leisure side, is probably back to about 80% of what it was pre-COVID. I mean, load shedding obviously plays into that directly. Fortunately, we sort of have a less direct impact on our operations when it comes to load shedding relative to what other businesses might experience. But the reality is it affects our customers, right?
Yeah.
Because they're losing their jobs thanks to load shedding. They're not getting increases thanks to load shedding. They're suffering inflation just as much as we are. I mean, that's really obviously something we need to get right to actually see the market start to recover and feel better.
Can we talk to me a little bit about the future? What can the business traveler particularly expect from Safair in the probably months or years to come?
For us, we've got a couple of things in the pipeline. We've grown, spectacularly over the last year. I mean, we've put a lot of focus on that growth. We want to step back and just really kind of massage and enhance what we can in terms of service levels, just the practicalities, getting on and off the aircraft, making that as easy as we can, that journey through the airport. So we're turning our focus to a lot more of that kind of stabilization stuff. And then the other really exciting thing in our books at the moment is that we're very actively expanding regionally. We've already launched Mauritius a while back, and we've got Zanzibar, which obviously are very much a leisure focus, but there are a couple of more sort of corporate-oriented routes that will be coming up in October and November. And you can look forward to seeing a connection to the Falls, connection to Harare, Lusaka, Maputo, and Windhoek. So those are all in the offing.
Yeah. Talk to me about how airlines, particularly local airlines, decide on routes. How do I decide I'm going to fly to Cape Town, from Joburg to Cape Town twice or 3 times a day, as we're seeing some local players do?
I mean, the reality is it's really about how it's performing. So at the end of the day, we've got assets. Those assets are those aircraft and the time that we buy from our crew to operate them. And so you deploy them where they're going to make the most money. And it's really a test and learn approach. So, our game is always one, particularly in the low cost environment, where we want to do as many seats as we can rather than fewer seats at higher prices. We like lots of seats at reasonable prices.
Your thoughts around new entrants into the market?
we're not afraid of it. I think it's actually necessary. I think it's pretty good that we get some good competition out there. I think it's important that we have a healthy market, and consumers prefer to have more choice.
What does it look like from a sustainability perspective for low-cost carriers?
So the great thing about sustainability and low-cost carriers is that we are perfectly aligned. Because the main thing that you need to look at in terms of sustainability is your fuel burn. Everything that we do, and so much of our focus, goes into lowering that as much as we possibly can. So we're flying as efficiently as we can. So there's a constant focus on our side to optimize that as best we can.
Very interesting. So you've mentioned that you've now sort of expanded your routes. Will you start offering meals on your flights? Is that a pay-as-you-go sort of concept? How is that going to work?
So we'll stick to a pay-as-you-go thing. On our routes 4 hours and longer, we do provide a little complimentary snack with a bottle of water, but it's really just a little basic snack. But yeah, we'll stick to the low-cost model. I mean, we want to put our service out there that is reliable, plain, and affordable. A good quality and basic service offering.
Awesome. Kirby, thank you so much. A lot of insightful stuff in there.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. It's always great to chat to you guys and to just share a little bit about what's going on. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, there you have it. That was Mr. Kirby Gordon. My name is Lance Nkwe, Corporate Marketing Manager, and thank you for tuning in. Ciao. Well, we've come to the end of our video series, the CT Chronicles Supplier Edition, brought to you by Corporate Traveller. My name is Lance Nkwe, Marketing Manager at Corporate Traveller, and it's been exciting to host this series. Hope you've enjoyed it. Please leave some comments, some feedback. Have you enjoyed the format? Have you enjoyed the guests? Some shots around who you potentially want to see in future. Special thanks to all our guests. Thank you for making the time to chat to us. And I hope you, our customer, have enjoyed the updates from all our guests. Take care.